What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you guys please like this video and subscribe for more book and literature content. And make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at Andrew Marlowe Artist Official. And please send me an email at andrewmarlowe22@gmail.com. So today we're going to be taking a little break from the analysis videos. We will be back to that soon. I have a big video planned for Marcel Proust as well as some other stuff. But for today, we're just going to give you guys a little update on this really pretty massive book haul. It's not the biggest, but it's pretty darn extensive. Hope you guys will enjoy some of these books. Hopefully this will encourage many of you to start collecting books, or at least reading books, rather. That's the most important thing. It doesn't matter whether you get them from the library or Amazon or the local bookstore, or maybe you're just raiding one of your family members' bookshelves, but it's definitely good to keep reading. We got some really interesting eclectic stuff in here we're going to be showing you guys. Not sure when I'm going to be getting to all this stuff. We've only started reading one of them, but it's pretty awesome. So let's start with, what should we start with? Let's start with our good friend Thomas Wolfe here. You guys know I'm curating the biggest Thomas Wolfe collection. We've already got a bunch back here. Some of them are covered with some other books here. So we'll start with Thomas Wolfe Interviewed, 1929 to 1938. This is a collection of Thomas Wolfe interviews. It should be pretty interesting, pretty engaging. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting into this. Definitely talking about his writing, talking about his home life, what it was like growing up in Asheville, North Carolina. Some cool pictures of him in here too. I'll show you. A great picture of Thomas Wolfe there. Another picture of him there. Very tall guy, like I said. But he's just such a charismatic guy, kind of chubby in that picture, but would have been great just to interview Thomas Wolfe and pick his brain a little bit. So yeah, without further ado, we'll move on to the next Thomas Wolfe book, the complete short stories of Thomas Wolfe, which I'm very happy to have, but there's actually an issue with the print in here, and I'll show you guys. But this is the complete short stories of Thomas Wolfe. This is the only pressing of it that I'm really aware of. But if you look at the print is a little dodgy. It's like faded, and it looks like it's like blurry. I don't know if you guys can see that. But it's just not the best print quality. But I think it's readable. But that's a lot of short stories. That's freaking crazy. It's got, pretty much everything he ever wrote in here except for his novels. So this should be pretty exciting. I might try to do some research and see if there's some other places we could maybe get a hold of this. Thomas Wolfe short stories, because like I said, the print is a little low quality. Hopefully that sound isn't bothering you guys too much. We're just going to carry on forth. So up next, we have some really interesting stuff. We have Ibn Fadlan and the Land of Darkness, Arab Travelers in the Far North. So if you guys have seen 13th Warrior, that movie was kind of based on some of the old Muslim documents or Islamic scholarship that was written about a man's journey to Norway as well as some other places. So this should be really compelling. I can't wait to get into this. A nice Penguin classic to add to our collection. So if you guys are familiar with Ibn Fadlan, please let me know. Up next, we have a really other beautiful Penguin classic. We have The Worst Journey in the World, Apsley Cherry Gerard. And this book documents, ranked first in the National Geographic's list of 100 greatest adventure books of all time. The Worst Journey in the World recounts Robert Falcon Scott's ill-fated expedition to the South Pole. Apsley Cherrygarde, the youngest member of Scott's team, one of the 3 men to make and survive the notorious winter journey, draws on his first-hand experience as well as the diaries of other compatriots to create a stirring and detailed account of Scott's legendary expedition. Having lost the race against Norway's Ronald Umsen, Scott and his men found disaster on the return trip, and months later, Cherry himself would be among the search party that discovered the corpses of Scott and his men. They died of starvation and brutal cold. So this sounds like a really great, compelling book. It's got really great print. I can't wait to get into this. We might pick this up sometime in the winter, maybe. It seems like kind of a cool winter book. Up next, we have this cool book by John Gardner called On Becoming a Novelist. John Gardner's a little bit of a controversial figure. He was accused of plagiarism and stuff like that. But definitely an interesting writer, and this book is pretty interesting. Talks about what it takes to become a novelist and talks a lot about the writing process. So I definitely recommend it if you're an aspiring author. Up next, we have some Stephen King. We have Stephen King, Kerdi. Can't remember if I showed this guys to you. I might have. Probably not his best novel, but I think it's like one of his earliest. So that should be pretty cool. A little Stephen King for you here. Nice, really great print. Plenty of room for annotations in the margin, as you can see. And up next, we have what I believe to be a first edition copy of The Shining. This is pretty darn cool. I don't think it's worth anything because it's so beat up, as you can see. But I found this at the used bookstore, and this is really cool to have a first edition copy of The Shining, because I also have a first edition copy of Dolores Claiborne right there. You can kind of see the top of it. See the word Stephen. So this is really great. I might have to record the rest of this later if this buzzing doesn't stop. Anyway, first we'll try to get through it here. First edition copy of The Shining. And I do prefer the movie over the book. I think like most people, the book is a little bit long-winded, but maybe we'll give it another chance. And I do like the story of The Shining. It's pretty interesting. Up next, we have George MacDonald with The Princess and the Kerdi. And I actually have to get the prequel to this, which is called The Princess and something. Princess and the Goblin. But this is just a little bit different. This is like children's literature, sort of adolescent, young literature. So this should be pretty cool. Puffin's classic. Just always trying to expand the horizons of, you know, how to read good stories. So we have any, this has some great illustrations in here as well. I'll just show you guys. Just really, really cool stuff. I can't wait to sort of get into some more young adult children's novels, you know, because they tell stories really well. So that should be interesting. It smells really good. So if anybody's familiar with George MacDonald, please let me know. Up next, we have James Welch, Winter in the Blood. For some reason, this will be the most significant piece of Indian writing they have ever yet encountered. For others, it will simply be a brilliant novel. Narrated by a young Native American living on the Fort Bell Cap Reservation in Montana, Winter in the Blood is the unforgettable story of a man living out the tragedy of his people. Intelligent, sensitive, and self-destructive, he is haunted by the untimely deaths of his father and brother and the shards of his once proud heritage. He sleepwalks through the day, working on his stepfather's cattle ranch, and consoles himself with alcohol and women. An ironic epiphany provides a tie to the vast land of his ancestors and an alternative to despair. So this sounds really interesting. I don't believe James Welch is a Native American, but he might be. But anyway, it sounds really cool. I was really glad to find this. If anybody's read this, please let me know. It's another Penguin classic. We got 3 Penguin classics now, so we got to add these to the Penguin classic section. Up next, we actually have another Penguin classic, Shirley Jackson, The Haunting of Hill House. And this is actually going to be on our fall reading list. We're going to continue with some female authors, so this should be pretty cool. She's also the author of We All Lived in the Castle, which I have a copy of, so we might pull that out too. Some of you guys are familiar with the film of this, so this should be really interesting. Good thing to read around, you know, September, October, November. So super cool. That's so loud. I don't think it's picking up as loud as it probably seems to me, but who knows. Up next, we have, I think I did show this, My Antonia, Willa Cather, but I'm going to show it to you guys again because this is going to be on the fall reading list as well. Once we kind of finish Evelina and, you know, Swan's Way, we're going to probably move on to this. So this should be pretty interesting. It's like a love story by Willa Cather, so definitely some good female literature there. Up next, we have Matthew Lewis, The Monk. Set in the sinister monastery of the Capuchins in Madrid, The Monk is a violent tale of ambition, murder, and incest. The struggle between maintaining monastic vows and fulfilling personal ambition leads its main character, the monk Ambrosio, to temptation and the breaking of his vows, and to sexual obsession and rape, and finally to murder in order to conceal his guilt. Inspired by German horror romanticism and the work of Anne Radcliffe, Lewis produced his masterpiece at the age of 19. So this sounds really cool. It's going to be a nice Oxford classic we can add up to the shelf. Not sure when we'll get to this, but I'm definitely looking forward to this. And I've had to keep all of these books out on the shelf, out from the shelf so I can remember to make this video about them. But me being OCD, that bugs me because I like to have all my books organized and stuff. So today, after the video is done, we can kind of follow suit and put these on the shelf where they belong. Up next, we have this beautiful Barnes & Noble's classic of The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo. So definitely looking forward to this. I love the Disney film. I know it's nothing like the novel, but we will be exploring this. This is a beautiful edition. It looks like it's got some annotations in there, which is cool. It's kind of cool to inherit somebody else's annotations. Those are like the only annotations of that one little section, I believe. But this should be really great. It's like brand new. It's a beautiful condition. It's going to look great up there with our Barnes & Noble's classics. And we're actually going to have to start another, probably going to have to start another shelf for Barnes & Noble's classics and Penguin classics. So we're kind of going crazy here with books. And up, lastly but not leastly, we have the famous novel Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Sort of, a modernist writer. I guess you could say was a pioneer of sort of the scientific conspiracies, that we kind of see in the modern world, as well as the sort of, inversion and different sort of, political powers that sort of inject themselves into our modern society. So this should be a really interesting read. Brand new copy, really nice edition. It's a nice long novel. It's only about 340 pages. What's the word I'm looking for? Futuristic. What's that word? Kind of like 1984 and Animal Farm. I'm forgetting the genre. Futuristic sort of. Anyway, I can't remember, but I'm sure you guys are very, very aware of this novel. So this is kind of what we're going to end the book haul here. Let me know if you're a fan of any of these books, any of these authors, and we will check up with you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.